All right, thank you and welcome everybody to the latest installment of Sutron Global's educational webinar series. We really appreciate you all being here for this. As you know, this is called The Value of Professional Associations to Our Career Success, and we have a great guest speaker for today. Just so you know who's on the call with us, we have Michael Hughes, who's coming to us from our London, UK office. We have myself, Tanya Anderson. I'm from Vancouver, BC. And we have, of course, our special guest speaker, who I'm sure you're all very familiar with. Michael, would you mind telling us a little bit about us?
Sure, thank you, Tanya. I'd love to. So I'm sure by now most people will know a little bit about Sutron Global. There are one or two new delegates joining us today, so welcome to those people, and also welcome back everybody that's joining us. We are really grateful for your continued attention in this series, and we hope it's useful. Sutron Global is a cloud-based library, knowledge, and information management solution provider dedicated to managing library transformation. So we work with information professionals to offer them innovative and effective cloud-based solutions to help them in their day-to-day. Just examples of how we do that can be seen on the next slide, where we have our offering outlined. So core to that offering is the ILS, Library Information Management System, but also now increasingly popular is a discovery platform or one-stop shop platform, as well as solutions around archive, KM, and skills. So as Tanya mentioned, and as I've mentioned also, this is part of a series of webinars that we're providing. And on the next slide, there's a little bit more detail about some of the other elements to that program that we're currently offering, which will include financial assistance to anybody interested in onboarding with our solutions that you've seen on the previous screen, as well as assistance to current clients with training. So if anybody would like further detail around any of that, please reach out to us via the regular channels, which you can see on the next slide, which I will leave on screen for just a moment before handing it right back over to Tanya to introduce our main speaker for today. Thank you, Tanya.
Excellent, thank you, Michael. So as I'm sure you all know, we have Deb Hunt with us, past SLA president and current director of the Mechanics Institute. So Deb, if you wouldn't mind, take it away.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm really delighted to be here today. And when we were talking about opportunities and topics for discussion and for a webinar, I came up with this one because, and well, as you'll see during this webinar, I'm going to talk about why professional associations are so valuable in our career success. And I hope that you'll come away, if you aren't a member of a professional association or an active member of a professional association, that you'll reconsider that. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So we're going to start off with a poll, so I kind of know where you're coming from. So the first question we have is, do you belong to a professional association? So if you can click yes or no, that would be great. We'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. I'm going to set my timer on my phone. Okay, so if you are a member of a professional association, are you actively engaged? Yes or no? And Michael, you've got the timing down, so that's great. Thanks. I won't worry about it. Oops, that one you went a little fast. Do you think everybody got that one?
I think I got everybody there. Yeah, we've
Okay.
got quite a responsive crowd,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, great. So what value do you receive from your membership? And of course, we don't have free text here, but here's some possibilities. So select, whoops, there goes my alarm, sorry. Thought I deleted that, but I did not.
There we go. Everybody is, yeah, I think we're all done there.
Great, okay. And then the last one is, if you don't belong to a professional association, why not? And here are some of the things I've heard from friends and colleagues. Oops. Yeah, I don't see a need to join. Too expensive or I'm too busy. All right, so Michael, can you show us the results of that? All right. Oh my gosh, I'm preaching to the choir, but that's okay because I'm going to talk to you about how to leverage your membership for really to enhance your career. Okay, I am delighted to hear that. Okay, next question. Okay, so now I have a larger group, the 35% who are not engaged. And so I'm really excited though that 65% of you are engaged. So thank you for sharing that. And then what's the value? Connections, learning, advice, and other. Okay, so this is good. Connections are really important, and I'm going to talk a lot about that during this webinar, as well as the learning and the advice piece. And then the other, it's too bad we didn't have a free text box so we could see what some of those were. All right, and then the if not, let's see, too expensive, I'm too busy, don't see a need to join. Okay, great, thank you. Thanks, Michael, for running those slides for us. All right, so I'm going to address a lot of what you talked about here. So let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so quite a few of you thought it was too expensive to join. And for some of you, though, I'll be preaching to the choir. You know, if you think you cannot afford to be a member of a professional association, and of course, before I go on, that what's in it for me is what those initials mean at the top. You know, if you think you can't afford to be a member of a professional association, I want you to think again. You can't afford to not be a member. A successful career depends on being actively engaged in your professional association. You know, we get a lot of bang for our buck or euro or whatever currency we use. It just is a fact. And I'm going to share some stories about that today. You know, way back when I was in library school, I took advantage of the student membership rate for SLA and ALA. And I haven't looked at ALA lately, but I know SLA has just introduced a very low student rate. I believe it's $10 a year. So if you know any students or you are a student, how can you not afford to not join for $10 a year? What a deal. And back when I was in library school, it was more than that. So I realized I had found my tribe in SLA, and I knew it would be helpful to me in my career. Little did I know how helpful it would be. So when I graduated, I started small, and I volunteered in my local SLA chapter on the activities committee, and that was the San Francisco Bay Region chapter. Eventually, I chaired that committee and served in other capacities in the chapter. I was asked to be the chapter president-elect. This was after several years. And I told the chair of the nominating committee that when my youngest child graduated from high school, I would do it. Little did I know that he took note of that. And when she did graduate, I was asked to run for president-elect, which I did. Eventually, I was asked to serve as a director on the SLA International Board of Directors, which I did from 2008 to 2010. It was a very eye-opening experience, and it also gave me a lot of great skills to add on to the ones that I had gotten at the more regional level. In 2012, I was elected the president-elect of SLA International, and as noted in my introduction, I was the 2013 SLA president. And here I am, still plugging away as president of the SLA Knowledge Management Community. SLA has done so much for my career that I want to give back to it. Just as importantly, I have a fabulous network of colleagues who are now friends all over the world. I know I can count on them for advice, help, job leads, and sometimes just a listening ear when I'm really frustrated about something and I need to talk to somebody who I know has been there and done that. Talk about return on investment. I know a big wow factor for me being hired in my current position was that I was SLA president when I applied for and interviewed for the job. This has also been something that's been very important in my consulting work because I think clients understand that I'm engaged in my profession, that I'm a leader in my profession. And I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to become president of an international professional association. We can all volunteer though and gain great skills and a great network and really advance in our careers as we advance in our professional development through our professional associations. So let's go to the next slide, please. So those of you, if you're SLA members, know that the annual conference, the virtual conference just ended. And on October 6th, I had the privilege of watching SLA's virtual awards and honors event. Normally, of course, I would attend in person, but like most conferences, the SLA annual was virtual this year. I was delighted to see the well-deserved recognition of these colleagues. So I asked 3 of the awardees to share what being part of a professional association means to them. I also asked an AIIP, which is the Association of Independent Information Professionals, colleagues, what her ROI is for her active membership in AIIP. So I'm going to talk about 3 of the awards from SLA. There are more than that, but I just picked 3, and then also about the AIIP network. And that picture on the right is a great picture. Tanya, I hadn't seen that one. That's Hal Kirkwood, who was the 2019 president of SLA. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so SLA's highest honor is named for SLA's founder and the first president. That's John Cotton Dana, and he founded SLA back in 1909. So this award is granted to an information professional to recognize a lifetime of achievement as well as exceptional service to SLA and the library and information profession. 2 SLA members received the John Cotton Dana Award this year, and one of them is Richard Hulser. So Richard is the president of a consulting firm in California and formerly chief librarian and curator at the Natural History Museum in Los Angeles. He is also active in AIIP. So here's what he shared with me. He says, I've been president of the Southern California SLA community and very active in the leadership and management, science, technology, and other SLA communities. So being active means not just being a member, but volunteering or doing something when you're asked to do it. He is also active in AIIP and shared the value of his professional associations to his business success. Here's what he said. They provide a network of other, well, AIP and specifically, but also SLA, provide a network of other consultants and colleagues in the information arena to learn from and share ideas and challenges. He also said there's formal mentoring and related programs that have helped him to keep focus and track progress with business counseling from experienced colleagues. He added, there's expanded professional growth through educational meetings and awareness of tools and services that help make his business better, and that it's a venue for getting and giving referrals for more business that strengthens his business viability. And I can add to that as a member, an active member both of SLA, sorry, my phone, I thought I had turned that off, sorry. That being an active member of both SLA and AIIP has really been key to my success, both as a consultant and as a librarian and information professional throughout my career. So this is a great example of somebody who's sort of at the middle or end of their career. So let's go to the next slide, please. And the next one I'm going to share about is Ann Barker. So fellowship in SLA is bestowed on active mid-career SLA members in recognition of past, present, and future service in the association and the profession. Fellows are called upon and expected to advise the association's board of directors and alert the membership to issues and trends warranting action. And I can tell you there's a lot of changes going on in SLA right now, and the fellows are very active, and Ann in particular is active in that. Individuals receiving this honor will be able to use the title Fellow of the Special Libraries Association. 3 SLA members were named fellows this year, and one of them is Ann Barker, an information specialist in the legal department at Genentech, which is a biotech firm. And here's what Ann shared with me about the value of her professional association, ROI. She said, I joined SLA in 2001 as a new student in San Jose State University's School of Library and Information Science program. As I cast about in one of the initial core courses looking for group project partners who weren't pursuing public or school librarianship, the professor came up to me after class and said, and this is a quote, "What you need to do is join SLA and go to the conference," end of quote. I did both that year, and she was right. From that time forward, SLA has been my center for professional networking, colleagues, and partners. I've attended some excellent professional development programming. And no matter what, the ability to connect with a network of people with the same principles and professional goals, to brainstorm and learn from each other across professional settings, and to feel able and encouraged to explore new fields within the profession has been a key part of my professional life. And I think she makes a really good point there that we're able to connect with folks outside our siloed information area. Just as in knowledge management works really well in an organization where the silos are broken down, the same works in our careers. If we can connect with other information professionals again across many different subject areas, types of libraries, and other organizations, that really enriches our skill set as well as our network and opens possibilities to us. She says, when I started a new job 5 years ago, moving to a biotech company after 10 years at a law firm, I chose a new path specifically so that I could explore new fields, both then and in the future. I was nervous, but I knew my professional skills were transferable to a new subject area, and I knew that I could count on my SLA network to help me through my learning curve. This gave me the confidence to stretch beyond my comfort zone. And I agree totally with Anne. I know that I've stretched a lot over my career and I continue to stretch, but I always know that I've got SLA folks that I can count on, as well as AIIP members who I can, when I'm stretching and maybe need some confidence building, that I can depend on them and reach out to them. Let's see, she says, the ability to envision our skills as valuable in many settings and across any subject matter is baked into the DNA of slayers. And if you notice at the bottom there, the last bullet point, we are slayers. SLA is an organization which allows us to see our skill set in action in a wide variety of settings and subject areas everywhere we look in our network and learning opportunities. She says, within months of joining SLA in 2001, I had begun volunteering and have remained active, holding volunteer and leadership positions at the chapter, division, association, and now community levels continuously ever since. As much as I gave to SLA, it has always given back to me in new skills, a leadership mindset, and friendship. So I want to emphasize those last things, which she got back. New skills, a leadership mindset, and friendship. And I was listening to one of the recorded sessions of SLA yesterday, and it was about leadership. And I was thinking about this leadership mindset. That is so important. We may not ever supervise a group of people or even one or two people, but that leadership mindset that you can gain in a professional association is huge. It's a huge benefit in your career, and it will bode well if you take advantage of the opportunity to learn and grow in your professional association. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this is, I want to talk a little bit about, if you don't know who James Matarazzo is, you should. He's deceased now, but an amazing, amazing InfoPro librarian professor who wrote a lot, but not in the academic sense, in the on-the-ground practical sense. And I would encourage you to search the literature and read some of the stuff that he wrote. So the James M. Matarazzo Rising Star Award is bestowed annually to recognize outstanding new SLA members who show exceptional promise of leadership and contribution to the association and profession. Nominees must have 1 to 5 years of professional experience as an information professional and have been an SLA member for 5 years or less. 4 SLA members were named Rising Stars this year, and Therese was one of them. I first met Therese in 2015 when I co-taught the SLA Knowledge Management, Knowledge Services courses at the SLA Annual Conference. And over the next few years while in grad school, Therese completed all 6 courses in the series, online and in person, and earned the KMKS certificate of completion. That was her ticket to a KM knowledge management internship in the San Francisco Bay Area that led directly to her current job as knowledge operations manager at Hoffman LaRoche Genentech in Toronto. So here she is, 5 years or less into her profession, and she is also already the knowledge operations manager. She invested in herself. She paid those fees to go to those courses. I think they were $595 for each one, and there were 6 of them. So you do the math. She spent over $3,000 investing in herself to up her career and her skill set. She said, here's what she said upon receiving the award. I learned about SLA when I was in grad school. It was the only professional association I could find that had a KM community. I was asked to be the annual conference planner in 2019 and 2020 for both the leadership and management community and the KM community, gaining real-world work, people, and management skills. This has shaped me into the professional I am today. And here she is at the beginning of her career and already doing great things. So I kind of feel like she's gone in the same footsteps I have, but it's never too late. Even if you're mid-career or late career, you can still volunteer and you can still invest in yourself. So I encourage you to do that. And I have a enterprise content management practitioner certificate. And just like Therese, I invested in myself when I got certified in that. I think it was $1,200, about 8 years ago. I did that so I could up my skill set for consulting, but I invested in myself, and it's the same thing. You may think it's expensive, but in the end, it's going to come back to you many times over. So let's go to the last slide of people. And I put the word out to AIIP on the listserv, and Kelly Schrank came back to me, and she shared with me the value that she gets from her AIIP membership. And remember, this is the Association of Independent Information Professionals. She is a freelance technical writer and medical editor, and her company is Bookworm Editing Services, LLC. And here is what she told me. I recently got a new client through an AIIP referral. So there's the networking. It lasted about 3 months and brought in $20,000. Not a bad investment for my AIIP membership. She had written an exclamation point after that. And then she also said this with an exclamation point. There are many other reasons for joining, but for the hard to convince, money talks. So even if you're not independently employed, if you're working for somebody else, I can also tell you in talking with colleagues, if you are active in your professional association, that is also going to be reflected in the salary that you can ask for. How? Because 1, you'll have the skill set, and 2, you'll learn the skills of negotiation. That's something I learned a lot through AIIP and also SLA, was how to negotiate a salary. So, instead of just accepting what's offered, to negotiate that where possible. Sometimes I know that's not possible, but also, it takes guts, but it also takes practice to be able to negotiate a salary or even a contract with a potential client. Let's go to the next slide. So just to wrap up, I want to talk about too, about what's in it for you. I started out with the what's in it for me. And I really, really believe that it's free professional development. Even though we think it's too expensive to go out, like, Therese spent over $3,000 to get some professional development. I spent $1,200, but there's a lot of free professional development along the way as you're part of your professional association if you are active and take advantage of volunteering. I often hear I'm too busy, and I saw that in our poll. Let me tell you, I did consulting. I, had kids growing up with us. I was a single mom. And I definitely paid attention to my kids. That was why I did consulting work, because I could work around their schedules. And often I was up late at night when they were in bed doing the work I needed to do. But I always learned too that I had this professional network that I could depend upon about how to work smarter and how to work more efficiently so that I could still be a mom and still, you know, be there for my children. And I'm happy to say they're well-adjusted adults today. And I have 3 grandchildren, 3 granddaughters that I'm really grateful for. But I was able to pursue my career. And sometimes I worked part-time. Sometimes I didn't work full-time. And often when I took time off to raise my children, I volunteered. Everything from editing the newsletter as the Alumni Association for my library school at UC Berkeley, which I could do on when I had time to do it, to diving into SLA and AIIP. Those were things that I could do and volunteer in small ways that kept me active and connected to my profession. Even when I was home full time, I realized that I was never too busy to do that. The other thing, new and expanded career opportunities. Oh my gosh, I'm always amazed. One of the first things I will tell you I look at a lot of resumes. I contract with a lot of subcontractors for my consulting work. I was just looking at 40 resumes for an IT person at my current position at the Mechanics Institute. I always look to see what associations people belong to. And if it just says member, comma, Special Libraries Association, that doesn't hold as much weight with me as if it says, you know, it gives me a list of all the volunteer things they've done, even if they're small things. So that is, again, another ROI, is employers are looking at what you're doing to advance your own career and how that's going to impact them as an organization if they hire you. A higher salary, again, it really does make a difference. And if you're not seeing that, then I encourage you to negotiate and think about how you can make that happen. And then lastly, this amazing network of colleagues. I know I can pick up the phone, send a text, do a Marco Polo, whatever it is, send an email, and I can pick the brains of colleagues and say, I just got an opportunity to do this kind of consulting work, or I'm facing this kind of challenge at work. What would you do in my situation? What advice can you offer? And I will get valuable, actionable advice. And even during this pandemic, I've picked up the phone and talked to colleagues all over the world, sometimes on Skype or other things, so I don't have long distance charges, but it's been wonderful to connect with them and to have that network. And even I just want to thank Sutron Global, because I've gotten to know Tanya and Michael. I've known Tony for many years and I've gotten to know him better, and also have now Tanya and Michael are part of my network. What a great opportunity. And I just encourage you to think about what the ROI is for you, to be active at the ability at the level you can. If you're very busy right now because of family obligations, do a little less, but do something. As your career and your life permit, do more. And I guarantee that you will have great success, both professionally and personally, and it will bring you great satisfaction as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Deb. It was another good session. We will take a few questions as interest dictates. So you should, to the right side of your screen on the GoToMeeting, or the beg your pardon, on the GoToWebinar panel, have a questions option. So please go ahead and type those in there now, and we'll be happy to pose those to Deb. 2 have come in already. Somebody is asking you, Deb, where did you do your enterprise content management certificate?
I did it through AIM, AIIM. They don't offer it anymore, but they do offer other courses. And so I would encourage you to look there.
Thank you. Okay. And another one here, is there a correlation or an overlap between SLA and AIIP?
There is, you know, it's interesting. Quite a few people belong to both. An interesting thing, statistic about AIIP, when I first joined, gosh, back in like 1990 something, and when it was founded, I believe in 1987, I would say 97% of the members had Masters in Library Science or MLISs. Today, it's less than half. So it's a really interesting intersection of skills and knowledge and sharing. And I remember I was telling somebody I belonged to AIIP, and I said, yeah, the listserv alone is worth the price of membership, because you can ask any question there and get a fabulous answer, and more than one answer often, and also contribute. You know, it stretches me when I contribute answers and join these conversations. And he said, well, wait, I don't understand. You guys are all competitors and you're sharing information with one another? And I said, yes, but many of us have different specialties. Some of them overlap. And I know when I've done a lot of my consulting projects where I can't do all the work myself, especially because I have a full-time day job, I subcontract to other AIIP members and sometimes SLA members as well. So it's an opportunity to cross-pollinate and to always learn. And now I forgot the original part of the question. What did you ask me? Oh, the makeup of AIP. Sorry.
Is there an overlap or a correlation?
Yeah, and there is. Like I said, there's people that are members of both. Anyway, and the overlap is good. It's a great network on both sides.
Thank you, Deb. One other interesting one here. Do you know of any help that is available to articulate the ROI of belonging to an association? A resource that can help my employer or help me convince my employer to contribute to funding my membership to an
Yes.
association?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say yes, because if you go to SLA's website, I will have to find that URL. We could send it to everybody after. I'm going to make myself, or if you search on the website and look for the competencies, those were created, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. They are still relevant today, but they give their competencies that are very broad, but specific enough that you can take pieces of them and certainly appeal to your employer for those. And they're great too, because they're also a roadmap for how you should be making your career and where you're going in your career. They really will give you some guidance, and you can pick a few competencies and think about how you're going to increase your expertise in those areas. What are you going to aspire to, and how are you going to get there? My second answer to that question is invest in yourself. You have to remember that for most of my career, I have been independently employed and not an employee of somebody, or I was employed where I did not get support. But I knew it was important enough to me to put aside money so that I could go to professional conferences, that I could use frequent flyers, that I always have had a roommate, which has always actually turned out to be very fun. And one of my roommates has become a best friend. And so you never know what's going to come out of those. There are ways to economize. And I've had colleagues who go to the SLA conference who they stay sometimes at youth hostels. I mean, it's people manage to find a way to go. And I encourage you to not only join, but again, to be active, which doesn't cost you anything. And then to save up. Mary Ellen Bates, who's a well-known information professional, used to always say about the AIIP conference, because remember, 90% of the people that are members, probably 100%, are self-employed. So they are investing in themselves. And she had this saying, we probably have to up the amount today, but she'd always say at annual conference, if you're planning to come next year, and you should be coming next year, because she always says, and I agree with her, I never subcontract to somebody I have never met in person. That is a big ROI for coming to the conference and for your membership. She said, put 20 bucks in an envelope every week. And by this time next year, you'll have the bulk of your money to go to the conference and to pay your registration and your membership. So it might be $40 a week, but think about what you can cut out, maybe that extra cup of coffee that you get at Starbucks or Pete's, though I don't know if anybody's doing that now, but think about ways that you can invest in yourself and make it less painful.
Perfect, thank you, Deb. Well, I think we're all done there on the questions. It's worth noting that from a vendor point of view, certainly we owe a good part of our success in the industry to SLA in particular. So it is this kind of a 360 virtuous circle, really. So from our side, we're certainly aware of the benefit, and we do all we can to support it, going back the other ways.
I hate to interrupt, but I want to thank Sutron Global for always being a supporter of SLA as well. Sorry,
I'm sure that
meant to say that earlier.
I'm sure that will mean a lot to Tony in particular, so thank you for saying that, Deb. We really appreciate that, and it's nice to hear. So let me throw that back to Tanya just to close this out. But just personally, thanks ever so much, Deb. It was another very good session, very interesting.
Well, thank you everybody for being here.
Wonderful. How do I end after so many great thanks and good thoughts, of course. But if everybody would like to see Deb's next session, we have that already booked for next month on the, I believe, 17th. You can visit our events page, or you can see Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook to check out those new events. We'll post this recording on our YouTube, of course, so you can watch that there as well. Thank you to Deb, of course, for setting this up and allowing us to put all those great events up there. And of course, thank you everyone for attending. These sessions wouldn't be possible, of course, without all of you. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us and check out our blog and news for more events. And of course, we mentioned Deb's next session, which is next month on the 17th. Thank you again, everyone. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you soon. All right, bye-bye, everyone.